last year. Anyways, Midnight Chicken keeping you company during lockdown. It's 11 o'clock or probably 11:01. Well, who cares what time it is? This is a show with no chicken, and we call it Midnight Chicken even though it starts at 11 o'clock. Those in the know will know why. But anyways, I've got Alexander Stevens II here, my whananga from up north, and we're covering a pretty intense kaupapa tonight. We're going to bring it to you slow, but if you haven't, if you want a clue, it's all in the title, Rising Above Trauma and Pain. But let's bring you a message from our sponsor that doesn't pay us anything, because we're good like that. And then, Alexander, when you see the video come on, what you want to do is mute your mic. Now, let's bring this on. Need a director.
He's getting busy. Show all you folks what it's all about. Now it's time for me to get on the mic and make this tag team party hype. I'm taking it back to the old school, cause I'm an old school. We so cool. If you wanna get down, I'm gonna show you the way. There it is, what you say.
South Auckland. That video right there was actually created by two Māori girls who live in Whitty, born and raised. And so, guys, if you're looking for fruit and veg, and you don't want to wait for days like you're doing when you buy from the supermarkets, tussimarket.co.nz. Also, visit them on Facebook. You've seen the deals. If you want them, go ahead and get them. Because let's just face it, we eat more during lockdown. Okay, so into the kaupapa tonight. Here's your clue. So, Alexander Stevens II, good friend of mine, good friend of my ladies. So, would you say South Auckland born and raised or Northern born and raised?
Oh, South. Go South, bro. South Auckland born and raised.
Southside hard. And what
it was, bro. To the point, bro. Can I just quickly say that just listening to that just made me think that I was back in Club Raro. Back in the mid-90s, bro. I was like, what's happening here?
Club Raro. Maybe. Oh, man. Okay. See, that's a clue right there. Okay, he knows what Club Raro was. I've heard of Club Raro, but obviously my man visited. So, okay, if you dispute this guy's South Auckland credentials, he's just proven it. He's just proven it. So, guys, we've got a variety of topics to cover tonight. That the main topic we want to cover is sexual abuse. So this isn't for the faint-hearted. If you don't want to hear about sexual abuse, you don't want to talk about sexual abuse, I'm telling you right now, do yourself a favor, move on, piss off. But this is an important thing because for ages, because of very bad men who deserve bad things to happen to them, there's a narrative that's been missed out. And this is it, guys. Men are suffering from sexual abuse. My friend here, Alexander Stevens II, is a counselor who specializes in helping Tāne to heal. This is why I've brought him on the show tonight. You may know someone who's been through this. You yourself may have been through this. And we want you to get help. We want to show you how to get help. And the first step is just being open to talking and listening about it. What do you think?
Who, me? Or just everyone else, bro?
No. Bring it in. Yeah. No.
Well, yeah, bro. I think one of the I think one of the challenges, bro, is that it's not just men that's abusing our boys that become men; it's women abusing our boys as well. And that was something that came up in my PhD research. That we often just think that it's men that's abusing our boys, but actually it's women too. So what do I think, bro? I think that say 1 in 5 boys are affected. Maori boys are affected by sexual violence in this country, and it's about say 1 in 4 for our wahine, for our females. So actually, overall, bro, sexual abuse affects our communities more so than say our European counterparts. That doesn't mean though that it's our Maori abusing our Maori. Actually, bro, what we do know from what evidence there is that it's often it's often Pākehā that are in some kind of position of power. We know that with recent people coming forward that were in stake here, that often our bros were abused by in the system of being in welfare. So we're kind of understanding more and more and more about this topic, and more importantly, how do we support our bros coming forward?
And guys, I tell you true. I actually interviewed Alexander, and I put an article out through Te Karere. And while there was a majority of people that were supportive of the kaupapa, there were also people that just refused to acknowledge that this is a problem. And I'm not talking about Pākehā people. I'm talking about Māori women that refuse to acknowledge this problem. They straight called it BS. In fact, I don't even want to repeat what they called it. And I'm like, so because you live in a fantasy world where Māori women can do no wrong, you want to ignore the research of a PhD student? But at the same time, I have to have empathy for the fact that this is a heavy topic. This isn't the type of thing that you talk over, with a cup of tea and biscuits, right, bro?
Well, honestly, bro, I'd like to, except that I'm diabetic, right? So biscuits are a no-go, bro. If you want to talk about it over fresh fruit, that's awesome, bro, but we can't do biscuits, unfortunately. But here's the thing, bro. Okay, he's gone. After that interview, bro, I actually had more guys come forward that needed help. Oh, there it goes. I had actually more guys come forward that had been abused by women, and were actually had a sense of, it's a strange thing to say, bro, but they were just really grateful to finally have their narrative heard. In terms of being acknowledged, for many of these bros, they had felt suicidal. They had had long-term mental health conditions as a result of that trauma. So yeah, it's not easy to have a conversation about this, but I do think it's necessary, because I often think it's something that we don't talk about. Well, I know we don't talk about it. And those long-term consequences, bro, are not only for that person that's been affected, but it can be generational as well, bro. So for me, it's about how do we break that toxic whakapapa that could potentially get passed on to other people.
Yeah, really good question. And that story that I wrote, it was a privilege that you trusted me with that. And I totally, for me, I just wanted to put it out there. I wasn't even about condemning anybody. And what it was just about is putting it out there for Tane, that you're not alone, and that if you were to open up to someone, that you wouldn't be, there are people that won't understand you, but there's also people that would understand. There are people that would think to themselves, I've never been through this, bro, but I trust you, and I'll walk with you through the journey. And so tell me, how did you come across this? Because people don't just wake up and say they're going to do a research project on sexual abuse, right, bro?
Yeah, wow. I think for me, bro, there's a whole history of it. I think I got my first sexual abuse disclosure when I was like 15, at high school, by somebody that had been extensively bullied. And I remember thinking at the time how ill-equipped I was to deal with that. Because you're a kid, with your own issues and your own stuff. So how can you possibly deal with something like that? But I remember that he said that he got fiddled by his uncle. I remember thinking, I'm not prepared to deal with this as another kid. I remember talking to my guidance counselor about it, and I never knew what happened, bro, because he actually withdrew from school maybe a couple
Oh
of weeks
man.
afterwards. So yeah, so he was kind of like the first example, I guess, of getting a disclosure. But then I've also worked in health as a health professional, and in every role that I've had, bro, someone has disclosed that they have been sexually abused more often than not. And so it's kind of been like a consistent thing that came up in my life. And so maybe just over 10 years ago, I just thought that I'd specialize in sexual violence recovery. Because the reality is, bro, is that there is no training in universities around this.
Whoa.
So, I'd worked in, like, say, rape crisis and, awesome organizations like Lifeline. But if you're wanting to specialize in this area, bro, it really is community based and
Wow.
crisis.
So you're going into a field where you literally cannot study for.
Yes. And
Wow.
to be honest, bro, and if you're looking at working with our men, bro, even more so, because we tend to focus on our wahine, our woman, and I have no issue with that whatsoever, bro. I think anyone that's affected by sexual violence should be given the support that they rightfully deserve. Because I think it's a human rights issue, right? It's not about gender. For me, sexual abuse is a human rights issue. But if you're wanting to know how to work with our men, bro, it's definitely learning, on the job, so to speak. So it's been a 10-year, in fact, over a 10-year journey, bro, and working with hundreds of guys.
Yeah. And so what I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm actually gonna share with you a few things. So Alexander also built a website called Standing Tall. Wonderful website full of resources. Got some videos on there. Just to like if you're in this situation, I want you to remember this, right? So you'll see a link coming up underneath, right? I hope you'd look at that. I've had a look at it, and even if in your first visit you do absolutely nothing, the fact that you've gone there is the first step. And then maybe the second time you go on, give consideration to maybe watching some of the videos, or maybe give consideration to looking at the various resources that are on there, how to find help within your area. You know, just give it consideration. I'm not trying to push it on you. I'm just saying that, like, you don't have to go through this journey alone anymore. You know, there are people out there that will understand you and that will have empathy and will listen with no judgment. And if you get to that point in your life where you're thinking, time to get through this, because you'll never get over it, right? But you can get through it. Yeah.
Well, you can make peace with it. I do. I mean, look, bro, this is the question that I get asked all the time. Can I heal from it? Can I recover from it? Is there a way forward? And I often think, brother, as a therapist, you got to kind of be careful. You got to be careful because you don't want to sell false hope. That's not what I'm into. But what I do say to people is that the environment and the people that you surround yourself with are absolutely instrumental in you finding some kind of way forward. Whether you call it closure, recovery, healing, um, I think it is possible, but I think that you have to have the right kind of conditions around you in order to allow that wider or that spirit to kind of flush away all that toxicity that many of our bros carry for all kinds of reasons.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty fair. That sounds fair. That sounds like it makes sense. What I'm going to do now is that, guys, I'm going to play a video from the Standing Tall YouTube page just to give you a bit of insight of where we're at with this, because when Alexander broke down to me the mission and his cope up and what he was doing, I was like, I ain't been through this, but I want to do something to help. And I hope that like you guys will get some sort of feeling with that too, because we're probably all part of the solution, guys. who made your video, bro? That was nice.
Yeah, it's coming across a little bit remixed, bro. Like
Yeah.
a cassette tape from the 80s, bro.
Yep.
Where you try to dub over it and dub over it.
Yeah, and in the end,
But all good, bro. I mean, we and we work with what we've got, right? I mean, these are unknown times, bro. Yeah. So, but thank you.
Nah, all good. I'm just gonna send you a question with our private chat. Give me a sec. You'll see it come up on your end.
Ooh, I feel privileged. Oh yes. Is this because you recognise my status as coming from the upper marae, my bro? That I'm getting like special messages on the side, bro.
Oh, come on, man. You know I got love for my but Motukraka is number one. Motukraka. Hey, we have a ferry that goes past our island. That has to mean something.
Of course it does, bro. and I defer to you, of course. But yeah, sweet as, bro. Send through your message.
Yeah, so it should come up on the private chat on your end, and then you'll see. I just wanted to know a little bit more about how your how long did it take for you to build the website? Who did your videos and all that? Because that's some real nice production there, man.
Yeah, bro. So here's a little bit of the history behind it. As I was working with a lot of, I primarily work with our Māori and Pacific men, and what happened is that they were talking about accessing different websites to understand what had happened to them, and that there wasn't anything in New Zealand that they could connect to. And in fact, I encourage people to go online, go on to help services, and what you'll often see are non-Māori, non-Pacific people. They're often iStock photos, those typical American images where they're all smiling, they've all had their teeth bleached, it's all this around the center. Yeah, very much pretentious, very much fake. So my PhD, I wanted to actually understand what would it be like to create a website that our bros could go to, but also say support people that might have had a disclosure. Because that's another area that we just don't know about, actually. We don't know what is it about that person that someone discloses to. Out of all the whānau members, out of all the friends, what is it about that person that a bro would say to them, hey, when I was a child, this is what happened to me. But then the other group that I wanted to support, bro, was community organizations that knew nothing about this topic. So I can give you some great examples, bro, brief examples. When I worked in addiction services, and you might have a client that might disclose they've been sexually abused. If they're a woman, they're much more likely to get the kind of help that they need. If they're a man, specifically a Māori or Pacific man, they're unlikely to get the same kind of support. Because actually services are set up, like I said before, to support our wahine, not our tāne. So where are they supposed to go? So in order to answer that, bro, for the last 5 years, I've been working with over 122 people, and I designed the website, the video, the content based on what people were saying that they wanted and what they needed, and then being able to bring all of that together, writing it up in terms of what we call a thesis, and then hopefully, bro, I'll graduate this year. So it's been a 5-year journey.
I'm going to actually bring up the website itself. Then I'll bring in the next question, and then probably go to a video break after that. Sec. So guys, here's the website, right? So when you go on, look at this first thing, support information for us. So for victims, if you've been through it, for different communities, for tautoko, for community organizations, getting help. The videos are pretty cool, guys, but here's another thing that I want you guys to see. Check this out. Free helplines. Right. Look at these 0800 numbers, guys. You've got all these options, right? Although I'd say
helpline. Part of that, bro.
Yep, go ahead.
I was just going to say, bro, part of that kōrero actually came from the fact, bro, that when you go on to different websites, they don't have all the numbers in one go. So we know typically that, users, people that access a website, they will spend no more than 3 seconds to suss out whether the page is going to be useful for them. So 3 seconds in the grand scheme of things is nothing, bro. So if you don't have all that information available in one hit, then you've basically missed an opportunity to engage that user, and then they'll move on to the next website, bro. So, in this process of kind of developing this website, I've now understood that 3 to 5 seconds is all you've got for you as the website provider to actually do some proper engagement, bro.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I'm just showing these numbers in the meantime, because so guys, if you get anything out of this tonight, standingtallnz.org, and also these phone numbers, take a screenshot, write it down, do whatever, right? The help is out there. We don't have a perfect system, but we have a system, which is a lot more than what I can say for other parts of the world, right? We have a system, and yeah, it's fractured, it's broken, but you can still get help. And you've got people like Alexander that are working behind the scenes constantly to try and fix our broken system. People that have taken upon themselves to be part of the solution rather than the problem. So, guys, I'm going to give you a little bit of a break. I'm going to show you a video, and then we'll come back into our kaupapa, right? And because this is a little bit of a almost light-hearted. All right, let's share this next one.
Service there, please?
That is, yes, that's my address.
So just look straight ahead and just tilt your head slightly, okay?
Oh, I hate this.
Like you tilt your chin up, not your head.
Oh, like that. Oh, I hate this.
How many have you had?
This is my second. Oh.
Try not to move your... Yeah. You're okay.
I hate this.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Oh, that's horrible. Oh. Oh, man. Oh. It doesn't hurt. It just feels hella weird. Oh, yuck. Oh. So even the nurse was laughing at me, but the reason that I showed that, guys, is there's actually a COVID testing clinic that is ditching the nasal swab, right? So Waipareta Trust, Te Whanau Waipareta, based out of West Auckland, within the next few days, they're going to start doing saliva swabbing. So a quicker form of testing, an easier form of testing, one that isn't so invasive. And so I'm going to play a video about that now.
E whakatika ana ngā tākuta Māori me ngā kaimahi hauora Māori ki te kōkiri anō, ki te whakatairanga ake anō i te pūwerotanga o te rongoa ārai, hai oranga mō tātou whānau Māori katoa. Me whakawhiti atu tātou i ae nei ki tā tātou tute tōranga pū ki a te o kiwa McLean i te whakanui ātara. Te o kiwa, kei a koe e hoa?
Hei tauira ke Scotty ko te rato ngā hauora Māori i te uru o tāmaki tērā arā ko te whānau o Waipareira. Tērā kua whitiki taua ki te tuku atu i te pūwerotanga ārai ma te uru tā. I ngā hoki rā kua whakatahangia e rātau a te whakamātautau mā te ihu a rā kua tīkina ke kua hikina ke a te whakamātautau mā te tuha. Hei tā rātau he tukanga tere ake, he tukanga hāneanea ake anō hoki, ka mutu ko tō rātou whainga mā tuatua, a kia kaha tonu ngā whānau Māori kia kuhu ki roto, kia pūwerotia rātou. E arahi ana I te iwi o tāmaki ki te uru.
It allows us to vaccinate safely in a level 4 by keeping people in their bubble, in their cars, bringing along their whānau.
Koe nei te tuarua o ngā teihana wero ara I te mate uru tā ki tāmaki makaurau. He haumarua ke tēnei rautaki nā e tāia ana te whakamātau a mirumiru.
We've got something like 860 bookings, and you can imagine that many of those people who've booked will bring other whānau members with them.
We see those numbers probably increasing to about 1,500 once this model is fully operational.
Āpiti atu ki ngā tatau o te motu whānui, o te wiki nei eke ai te motu ki ngā wero ngā rai mate uru tā kotahi miriona, me te harua te kaumano I roto tonu I te rā kotahi.
Our priority for these models is to get through our Māori and Pacifica whānau alongside our essential workers and anyone who's had their bookings disrupted to the pause in the vaccination program due to the move through to level 4.
He waikanaetanga I waenga I ngā ratonga hauora auraki mai Māori mai anō hoki, me te hākua nei tīmata I ngā whakamātau ātuha ki te whānau o Waipareira.
It's not a contest with MOH or with anybody else. It's just saying, hey, give us the opportunity to now use a new tool in the toolbox. We're in unusual times and, you know, the pressure and stress is on, but the remarkable thing is our people are standing up to it. The extent of that will be on the basis of how many people we can get vaxxed every day.
Mātua rā mā te whai te wero ko te painga ketanga tērā. Hei whakamaharatanga noa ke kia tātou e te iwi whānui. Ka anoho tonu tātou e rao tātou kei wahoatu o tāmaki makaurau. I roto I te taumata tūtakarere wā tua whātainoa ki a pōpō. Ara e rite nei te kāwanatanga, ngā minita o te kāwanatanga ki te huitahi, ki te patapaki, ki te anga whakamuatanga o tērā tū āhua. Ka mutu mō koutou o Ngāti Tāmaki makaurau e noho mai nā I tāmaki, ka huitahi anō te kāwanatanga, hei te rāhina o tērā wiki, ki te mēnā rānei, ka noho tonu, ka hiki rānei, te nohonga rāhui kia koutou. Scotty.
Rawe tō kiwa e mihi atu ana ki a koe I nā whakamārama ka paira.
Yeah, hoa mile back, and we'll wrap up soon. Didn't want to take up too much time, but wanted to. So we've given you something pretty crazy. We've never covered this on any Midnight Chicken. I think the closest we ever got to this was the episode where we talked about the hesitancy to get prostate testing, and that was a while ago. So we've gone from hesitancy to get prostates tested all the way to the cave, the depth of the dragon's den. Question, Alexander, what's the number one thing that you want people that have been through this horrible thing to know? What's the main thing they need to know?
What's the main thing for them to know? I guess that it is possible to find a way forward. It really is about finding those people that you do trust. And also, actually, you know, if you're the bro, so I don't use the word victim or survivor because there's no good evidence to suggest that's how our men identify. But if you are one of the bros and you have been affected by sexual violence, my message would be that there is hope, which sounds really cliche, but it really is, bro, possible to find a way forward. For support people, I think that it's really important because often support people will say to me, you know, what can I do? Should I go to the cops? Should I knock this person out? All kinds of stuff, bro. And so I say to support people, actually, the best thing that you can do is just listen. And you don't have to, have like specialist skill sets, bro, to just listen and just be, and just spending time with people, listening, irrespective of what's happening, you know, like whether it's sexual abuse or depression or anxiety. Listening is a very powerful tool, bro. It's a very human thing to just want to connect with another person. And then go on Standing Tall, go onto the support people's page or the support crews page and actually figure out, bro, what else can I do? But in that moment of time, I always say to support people, just listen. because it's more than likely that so as an example, most of our bros won't come forward until they're in their late 20s, early 30s. So if they've been sexually abused at the age of 5, then that's 25 years of holding that in. So if they've disclosed to you, try your best as a support person not to think of it as something that's overwhelming. It's going to sound strange, but think of it as a blessing that they have told you something because there is something about you that they trust. So that's another way I think about it. And for our community services, I always think be clear about your own boundaries and what you can do and what you can't do. I think sometimes, not always, but I sometimes think there are community agencies that think that they can support every single person that comes through the door. And that's not the case. When you're working with our bros that have been sexually abused, it's a very specialized area. And I can only say, just to be cautious, not to go into that trauma. Referring people like to Standing Tall, or what male counsellors, if that's where they want to go to, for example, to be able to do that work. Yeah.
No, that's really, really cool. Thank you so much for sharing that. And guys, just and I'm going to say this as a way that deals with all abuse, right? There is hope to have a good life despite your trauma and pain. A part of me wants to say that you can rise above it and do all this great stuff, but I don't want to incite false hope. What I do want to say is that I've seen people go through some crazy things in their lives, and I've seen some people that have supported people through journeys of healing. And I think that you shouldn't discount yourself from that. You shouldn't say to yourself, that can't be me. If anything, if I could say anything from a point of authority without overstepping my bounds, I could say that it is possible for you to be happy. It is possible for you to have a good life of healing. It is possible. I think anything more, and you probably would write me off. But yeah, if I could leave that with you. And also, guys, standingtallnz.org. If I told you not to PM the bro, I know that you'd PM him anyway, so I'll just leave you to figure that out. But what I will say is that if you do contact Alexander, know that he's an expert, know that he's been in the space for years, and know that he wants to help. And he's the type of guy that would do everything he could to get you the right help. Now, that may not necessarily involve him, but he's the type of guy that if you needed something, he'd help you get it. And so with that in mind, guys, thanks a lot for this. Totally different direction that we went through. But yeah, hopefully this video reaches someone that may benefit from it, that may need it. And it'll be on my profile forever. And we're also putting it through Exposing NZ schemes and scams. Guys, if you're wondering why I put a video like this on our anti-scheme page, it's because I know that people that have been victimized at a young age, that have had a bad trauma happen to them, they often live a life where they're vulnerable to the sorts of things that we have been trying to fight. So anything else that you reckon that we should, anything else you want to say before we sign off, my man?
Oh, definitely give yourself moments to breathe. Sometimes our bros think that they can heal in a couple of sessions, right? And I say to them, have you ever tried 30-second abs? 30-second abs does not work. Trust me, I've tried it, bro. Even 60-second abs, bro. 90 seconds. No. It's time and space, bro. And sometimes our men, and I get this, bro. Our men. Look, to be honest, bro. If I had a key message, it's if you've been told to take that concrete pill and harden up, I would say to you, how's that going for you right now? Because the reality is that harden up is not an option. Really, you can put a really good mask out to the world. You can make out that everything's all good, but you and you alone know what you feel inside. And so for me, bro, it's about that concept of wider world spirit. Is it flowing through you? Is it benefiting you? Or is it actually something that's harming you? And more often than not, those concrete pills, bro, they actually are more harmful than they are good. So what I say to people is, reach out and ask for help. There is no shame in that. I've seen awesome people, bro, just take their own lives, because they've felt so much pain and suffering. And then I've seen those tangies, bro, and I'm sure you have too, where people, lament and they grieve and they say, "Oh, I should have been there for him or her. I should have done something." But for me, that's too late. So I always say to people, when you're ready, go to Standing Tall. .nz. Go and get help. Don't be afraid to let people know that you are in pain and that you are suffering, because that's what we're kind of here for, right? We're here to help, and also know that it will take many seasons sometimes, to actually find a way forward. But 30 seconds won't work. 60 seconds won't work, bro. Unless it's mold. Mold color, that's a whole different story than 60 seconds, bro. Go for gold. But when we're dealing with our own mamai, our own trauma, our own hauora, exactly, then that's a whole different journey, bro. So I guess that's the other thing, right? Hope is possible, but give yourself a break, get a Kit Kat, and then just give yourself the ability to actually just hold that pain and work through it with I suggest with a qualified professional that knows what they're doing.
Thank you a lot for that, guys. If you know anyone that has been in any sort of trauma, a tane, and if they come to you and you want to know how to support them, again, on standingtallnz.org, there's a section designed for tautoko. For those of you that are in that position, there's resources for you. There's resources for bros that have been through this hell. There's resources for organizations that want to know how to support the bros that have been through this hell. Because it is a hell on earth. When unspeakable things happen to you and you don't even know how to explain it. And then you're scared that if you speak about it, people either aren't going to believe you, aren't going to be interested, and after that, they're just not going to help you. And I think that it is time for us as a society that we need to stop imposing standards that you've got to have it all together. It's okay to have a weakness. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be mad. And it's okay to just be sick of it all. I think, that our emotions, they vary on the day and they have a root. And I think if we just embrace that, and as Alexander says, just breathe. And if you're diabetic, you can't have Kit Kats. So have an apple, an orange, a plum.
Something sugar-free, bro.
Yeah, something, something. But guys, honestly, hopefully this reaches someone that needs it. That's how I wanted to do it tonight. And also to put it out there, Alessandra's a good friend of mine. And this is, we don't always talk about stuff like this when we're together. We actually have other things that we talk about too. And we'll probably put that out at a later date. But anyways, tēnā koutou. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you guys. Have a great night.